welcome back to Focus Atlanta. Thanks so much for continuing to watch. In this segment, we have a very important topic. We're going to talk with our representative from Diamond Recovery Group about loving an addict. Original, thanks so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I got to say, when I saw this topic, I thought it was so profound and important. There's so much that you learn when you are in a relationship with an addict, someone who is suffering about codependency, right? You don't want to do anything to hinder their recovery, but sometimes that looks like maybe a lack of empathy. Can we talk a little bit about loving an addict?
Yes, most definitely. Let me begin by the premise that loving an addict is particularly hard for a variety of different reasons. But the most reason that makes it so difficult in loving an addict is that people do not realize that addiction is a disability in the functioning. It is a disease, and not understanding that in that context will create lack of the lens to see the impairment. And while you still have expectations because you're looking through lens that says this person is healthy when they are not, and you have certain expectations, there's bound to be frustration, and which causes stress. You know, addiction in itself is not a practice of self-love. And when a person is afflicted or suffering from addiction and they bring it into a relationship, it calls for a lot of work. It's not something we have signed up for. When I say I do, you know?
Because the relationship cannot be sustained just with that one person and them trying to work through their recovery. It takes more than one person to, sustain that relationship. Just because they're working on their recovery doesn't mean that you don't play a role, that you can't be a part of, the transition and helping them to be healthy and helping them to be whole. And I think that sometimes gets lost in the messaging.
Most definitely. Addiction is a family disease, and when it is becomes part of the family, what happens is that family members oftentimes do not realize how they become dysfunctional and how they need to garner the weaponry of awareness as to what addiction is so they can know how to proceed on and be the formidable force or the support that will help that given family member. Communication is ever so important. I think the biggest problem with communication is the illusion that it has happened. We here at Diamond Group, we work specifically with the family, helping them to understand how to communicate. One of the facets of addiction is that the person that is addicted, they have the propensity to hide or protect their weakness. They don't want to show their inability to cope. Addiction is a coping mechanism. It is a poor one, but it is saying that I don't feel adequate enough. Yeah. Let me use this as a means for me to survive whatever the given problem is or dissatisfaction with myself. Absolutely. That must be conveyed to those family members, and they must create a safe place or haven for them to want to come to or feel free to come to. That is the challenge. And so that's what when a person comes into our center here at the Diamond Group, that is something that we initiate from the very onstart of their recovery process. We get the family involved.
Excellent. Well, I can't thank you enough, Original, for coming on the show and sharing this information. It is hopeful to know that you too can have a role in the success of a loved one's recovery. I think that often, family members think that they're completely pushed out and they don't have a role. But, hearing from you lets them know that they do. Thanks so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here. And in sum, I would like to say that with families, learning that love, LOVE, it's lots of voluntary effort.
Oh, I love that. Lots of voluntary effort. I'm gonna have to write that one down. You probably should too. Take the opportunity to learn more. Thanks so much for tuning in to this segment of Focus Atlanta. We'll be right back.